The cold emptiness of space stretched forever, black and silent. Stars shone in the distance, but to Daniel they looked far away, too far to give comfort. His small ship floated weakly between dying systems, its engines coughing, its lights flickering like a candle in the wind. Daniel was alone. He had been traveling for weeks, crossing a forgotten region of space. His mission was simple: chart the area, look for resources, send reports back to Earth. But now his mission was broken. The ship's navigation system had failed, and his oxygen level dropped a little more each hour. Still, Daniel refused to close his eyes. He stared out the window at the endless dark, hoping for something, anything to appear. And then, something did. At first, it was only a faint signal on his scanner. A soft beep, weak but steady. Daniel leaned forward, his tired eyes blinking fast. "No, that's impossible," he whispered. "No human ship was supposed to be here." The signal was coming from outside, near a cluster of black rocks floating like frozen giants. He adjusted the scanner. The signal grew stronger. For a long moment, Daniel thought it might be a trick, maybe a ghost reading from his broken equipment. But then he saw it. Movement, slow and careful, just outside his ship. Daniel's heart began to pound. A shape passed across the stars. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't metal. It moved too smoothly, too silently. His breath caught as he pressed his helmet to the glass, trying to see more clearly. And then the thing turned toward him. Daniel froze. The figure outside was not human. It had no clear shape, no fixed form. Its body shimmered like liquid, stretching tall, then folding in on itself, as if space itself could not decide what it should look like. He could not look away. The silence of the ship grew heavy, pressing against his chest. And then, without warning, a voice entered his mind. "Why do you keep looking, human? Is my form troubling you?" Daniel jumped back, hitting the console behind him. The voice wasn't coming through the speakers. It wasn't sound at all. It was inside his head. He grabbed the side of his chair, his knuckles white. His throat felt dry, but he forced out words. Who are you?" The voice replied, calm and almost curious. A question from a small creature lost in the dark. "Do you think names will help you? Do you think labels will save you from fear?" Daniel swallowed hard. His mind raced. Was this some hallucination? Was he dying and hearing things? But no. The shape was still there, drifting closer, its body glowing faintly against the black of space. "Why are you here?" Daniel asked, his voice shaking. The alien shape rippled like water struck by wind. For a moment, Daniel thought it smiled, though it had no face. "Why are you here, human? You wander far from your world. You stare into shadows that are not yours. You keep looking. Always looking. Why?" Daniel had no answer. His breath echoed loud inside his helmet. His heartbeat filled the silence. The figure pressed closer to the window. Daniel's body stiffened. He felt the air around him grow cold, as if the presence itself drained the warmth from his ship. Then the voice whispered again. "You are not the first human I have seen, but you may be the last." Daniel's mouth went dry. Fear clawed at his stomach, but something else rose inside him too. Curiosity. He could not explain it, but the question burned inside him. What did it mean? Were there others before him? What happened to them? He forced himself to meet the alien's shifting form. His voice trembled but held steady. "If you know humans, then tell me, what do you want from us?" The alien did not answer right away. Instead, the lights of the ship flickered as if the very systems bent to its will. The walls hummed, the floor shook slightly, and Daniel felt himself growing lighter, as though gravity itself was changing. "What I want," the voice said slowly, each word echoing deep inside his head, "is to understand why you stare into the void, why you keep searching, even when there is nothing but danger waiting, why you continue to look." At me, the ship went dark. Only the alien's glow remained outside the window. Daniel's heart hammered in his chest. The voice was inside him, around him, everywhere. He felt small, weaker than ever before. And yet, he could not look away. His human eyes stayed fixed on the alien form even when his body screamed to close them. In the silence, he whispered the only words he could find. "I look because I want to know." For a second, there was nothing but silence. Then the alien shape rippled once more, almost as if it was laughing. Curious, brave, or foolish. We shall see. The glow outside the ship flared, bright enough to blind. Daniel raised his hands to shield his eyes, but when the light faded, he was no longer inside his ship. He stood in a vast chamber, walls glowing with strange colors, shapes bending and shifting like living liquid. His ship was gone. The stars were gone. Only the alien presence remained. And then, that same voice whispered one more time, "Welcome, human." "Your test begins now." Daniel's breath came fast as he looked around. The chamber stretched high above him, glowing with strange light. The walls were not solid. Sometimes they looked like stone, sometimes like liquid, bending and rippling as if alive. His ship was gone. The stars were gone. Only silence and that presence remained. Daniel tried to move, but the floor beneath him shifted like soft glass. His boots sank slightly, then bounced back, holding him upright. He felt small, like an insect trapped inside a crystal. "Where am I?" he whispered. The answer came inside his mind. "Inside. You are inside me." Daniel's chest tightened. His eyes darted around. "Inside you?" "Yes, inside my vessel. Inside my body. Do not try to separate them. To you it will not make sense." Daniel's throat felt dry. He wanted to deny it, but the chamber pulsed faintly with light, like a heartbeat. Each pulse seemed alive, as if the entire place was breathing around him. Something moved in front of him. The alien's shape began to form. It was taller now, towering above him, yet not solid. Its body shimmered like smoke made of light, stretching, twisting, folding. Daniel forced himself not to look away. Two eyes appeared. They were not like human eyes. They glowed with shifting colors, blue, then gold, then black like a pit. The colors changed each time Daniel blinked. The eyes locked onto him, staring with a stillness that felt endless. Daniel's heart pounded, but his legs did not move. He wanted to run, yet he stood frozen. The alien's voice filled his head again. "You are not the first human who has looked into my eyes, but you are the only one still standing." Daniel's skin prickled. He forced his lips to move. "What happened to the others?" The alien tilted its glowing head. For a moment Daniel thought it smiled, but its mouth was only a shadow, curling and vanishing again. They turned away. They closed their eyes. Some screamed. Some broke. You continue to look," Daniel swallowed. His hands trembled, but he did not break eye contact. He felt as though those alien eyes reached deep into him, tearing open his thoughts. His memories flickered. Childhood on Earth, his family, his first day in training, the endless black of space. He gasped. Stop looking inside my head." "Why?" "You look at me. Is it not fair that I look at you?" Daniel felt anger mixed with fear. He clenched his fists. "If you want to know humans, then ask." "Don't steal." The alien was silent. The colors in its eyes shifted faster, like storm clouds rolling. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Had he gone too far? But then the voice came again, softer. "Strange. You speak to me, though you are afraid. You resist. You try to protect yourself, even when you are nothing but a small flame in the dark. Perhaps there is more to you than fear." Daniel's chest rose and fell heavy. His legs shook, but he stood tall. "I'm just a man. Nothing special." The alien leaned closer, its face filling his vision. The glow of its eyes was almost blinding now. "Perhaps, or perhaps you carry something your kind does not yet understand." The chamber pulsed again. The walls bent, twisting into strange shapes. Daniel blinked as images appeared around him, floating visions like paintings in light. He saw Earth blue and green spinning slowly. He saw cities burning. He saw oceans rising, storms tearing across continents. His heart dropped. "No," the alien's voice echoed, almost like thunder. "This is your world. This is what I see. A planet of war, a people of endless hunger. Yet still, you look to the stars. Why?" Daniel's chest ached. He stepped forward, fists tight. "Because we dream. Because we want to be more than our wars. Because we're searching for something better." The alien tilted its head again. The eyes dimmed slightly, as if in thought. "Dreams. I have heard this word before. Others spoke it too before they fell silent. Do you think dreams will save you from what comes?" Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came. The visions around him grew brighter. He saw strange creatures, sharp and dark, flying through space like predators, their bodies twisted with claws and fangs. They were not human. They were not this alien either. A chill swept through him. "What are they?" he whispered. The alien's eyes fixed on him, unblinking. "They are the ones who come, They are the ones who hunt, and they are the reason your kind will be tested. The visions shattered, the chamber falling into silence once more. Only the alien's eyes remained, glowing faintly in the dark. Daniel's chest heaved with fear and confusion. His hands shook. He could barely form the words. Tested? What do you mean? The alien leaned closer, and the voice in his mind grew sharp. I will show you. You will choose. You will be broken or you will endure. And in your choice I will learn what it means to be human. Daniel staggered back. His heart raced. The chamber walls began to close in, twisting, reshaping into something new. He knew, with a cold shiver, that this was only the beginning. The walls of the chamber bent and twisted like liquid glass. Colors shimmered, blue, gold, red, changing faster than Daniel's eyes could follow. The ground beneath his feet trembled, and for a moment he thought he would fall into some endless void. He pressed his hands against his helmet, his heartbeat thundering in his ears. What are you doing to me? The alien's voice answered calmly inside his mind. The test begins. I will see who you are. I will see if you are worthy of the stars you chase. Before Daniel could speak, the chamber split open with a blinding flash. The floor dissolved beneath him, and he fell, down, down, through the dark. He wanted to scream, but the air around him swallowed the sound. Then, suddenly, he landed. The ground was hard, rough stone. The sky above was no longer glowing walls, but a burning red horizon. Daniel gasped. This place, it looked real. Too real. He was standing on Earth, or something like it. The city before him was familiar, but wrong. Skyscrapers leaned at broken angles, windows shattered, streets filled with smoke. Fire burned in the distance. Cars lay crushed, overturned, silent like corpses. Daniel's breath caught. This is home. Not home. A shadow of your home. The alien's voice whispered inside his head. A mirror pulled from your memories. Here your choices will be weighed. Daniel spun around. Choices? What choices? The ground shook. From the smoke ahead, a figure appeared. A woman, her face pale with fear. She stumbled forward, calling out, Daniel, please help me. Daniel froze, his chest tightened. He knew that voice. It was Emma. His sister. Emma. He stepped forward, his legs trembling. But even as he did, the alien's voice rang inside him again. It is not her. It is a construct. A question made flesh. Do you run to her? Do you save her? Or do you save yourself? The world trembled again. Behind him, a loud crack split the air. Daniel turned and saw another vision. A door, half open, leading into safety. Through it, he saw his old ship waiting. Oxygen tanks full, lights glowing. If he stepped through, he could escape this nightmare. The alien's voice cut deep. One path saves you. The other saves her. You cannot have both. Daniel's heart raced. He looked at Emma. Her hand stretched out, her eyes wide with terror. She was trapped under falling rubble. Her voice broke with pain. Please, Daniel, don't leave me. He spun back to the door. The ship hummed like a promise. Escape. Air. Life. His chest burned. His throat tightened. The test was simple, cruel, and clear. Save her, or save himself. Daniel clenched his fists. His body shook with fear. Every survival instinct screamed at him to run, to live, to choose the ship. But he looked again at Emma, her eyes filled with tears. He remembered the real Emma back on Earth, the way she laughed, the way she told him not to give up when training grew hard. He remembered her last words before he left Earth. Promise me, Daniel, you won't lose your humanity in the stars. He knew his choice. With a deep breath, Daniel ran, not toward the door but toward Emma. The heat of fire licked his skin. Smoke filled his lungs. He reached her, pushed against the rubble, his muscles burning. The alien's voice echoed cold and sharp. You waste yourself for a shadow. She is not real. Daniel gritted his teeth. She's real enough. With a final heave, he pulled Emma free. She fell into his arms, weak but alive. For a moment he felt her heartbeat against his chest. Relief filled him like light, but the door behind him slammed shut. The ship vanished. The chance to escape was gone. The ground split apart. Flames roared, swallowing the city. Emma's form dissolved in his arms, fading like smoke. Daniel gasped, clutching at nothing. He was alone again. The red sky cracked open like shattered glass, and the world around him dissolved. In the blink of an eye, Daniel stood once more in the glowing alien chamber. His chest rose and fell in ragged gasps. Sweat clung to his skin. The alien towered above him, its eyes glowing bright. You chose death. You chose illusion over survival. Why? Daniel's voice shook, but he stood tall. Because humans don't live just for themselves. We live for each other. Even if it's hard. Even if it kills us. Silence. The alien's eyes shifted. Blue, then gold, then black. For the first time, Daniel thought he saw something like hesitation. Finally, the voice whispered, softer than before. Perhaps you are not as weak as I believed. The chamber pulsed once more, light flooding around Daniel. His knees buckled, but he refused to look away. He had passed the first test, yet deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. Daniel stood in the glowing chamber, chest rising and falling, sweat dripping down his face. His hands trembled, but not from fear, at least not the same fear as before. He had made his choice. He had saved his sister, even if she was only a shadow. The alien's tall, shifting form loomed above him. Its eyes glowed, swirling with strange colors, never staying the same for more than a moment. Daniel held that gaze. He would not look away. Finally, the voice came again, calm but sharper than before. You speak of sacrifice. You act for others. This is curious. But one act does not erase what your kind is. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? The chamber pulsed. The walls rippled like water. Suddenly light flashed and visions filled the space around him. He saw Earth again, only not the Earth he remembered. He saw armies marching, tanks crushing cities, missiles rising like deadly spears into the sky. He saw fire-swallowing forests, oceans filled with smoke, children crying as buildings crumbled. Daniel's stomach twisted. Stop! But the alien's voice pressed on. This is what we see when we look at humans. A world of violence. A species that destroys its home even as it calls it sacred. You fight your own kind. You poison your own seas. And still, you look to the stars, as if you deserve them. Daniel clenched his fists. His throat burned, but he forced his voice out. That's not the whole truth. The alien's eyes flickered, gold to black. Not the whole truth? Then show me what I do not see. Daniel took a step forward. Yes, we fight. Yes, we make mistakes. But we also build. We love. We create music, stories, hope. We dream of peace even when war surrounds us. We are not only our worst moments. The chamber went silent. The visions of war froze, then faded into darkness. Daniel's breath echoed in the emptiness. The alien tilted its head. Its voice was quieter now, almost thoughtful. Strange words. Empty words, perhaps. But still. Your eyes do not break. Your voice does not fall silent. Why? Daniel met its glowing gaze. Because if we stop hoping, if we stop dreaming, then we stop being human. And if that happens, there's nothing left worth saving. The alien's body shifted. For a moment, Daniel thought he saw its form flicker, almost like it was unstable, torn between shapes. Its voice was low, almost like a whisper. Do you know why we watch you, human? Daniel shook his head slowly. We have been watching for centuries, before your first machines left the ground, before your kind even knew the stars could be reached. We have seen your wars, your fires, your cries. But also, Your dreams. We do not understand them. Daniel's eyes narrowed. You've been watching us all this time? Yes, always looking, always studying. For you are not alone in the dark. Others wait, others hunt. They are not like us. They do not ask questions. They do not wonder. They only consume. The chamber darkened. The glowing walls twisted into shadows. From the blackness, new shapes appeared, sharp, jagged, monstrous. They moved like beasts, their bodies long and clawed, their mouths filled with teeth. Daniel felt his stomach turn. He had seen them before, in the vision during his test. The alien's voice grew heavy. They are coming. They will find your world, and when they do, your kind will not be ready. Daniel's blood ran cold. His hands shook, but not from fear of the alien anymore. This was something else, something worse. Then help us, he said quickly. If you've seen them, if you know what they are, help us fight them. The alien's glowing eyes locked onto him. Help? Why should we? Why save a species that burns its own nest? Why give you strength when you might turn it against yourselves? Daniel's throat tightened. He searched for words, desperate, his mind racing. Finally he spoke, his voice raw but strong. Because if we fall, you fall too. If they destroy us, they won't stop. You've been watching us for centuries, but maybe you've forgotten. We don't give up. Even when the sky is falling, even when the world burns, we fight back. That's who we are. The alien was silent. Its eyes swirled, colors shifting fast. Blue, gold, black, white. The chamber pulsed with energy, shaking beneath Daniel's boots. Finally, the voice returned, softer but filled with something new, something almost like respect. Perhaps there is more to you than fear and fire. Perhaps your kind is not yet finished. Daniel swallowed, his heart pounding. Then test me again. If you need proof, I'll give it. The alien's form rippled, stretching higher, glowing brighter. The chamber's walls cracked with light, spilling beams across the floor. Very well, human. You have seen truth. Now you will face choice. In the next test, you will learn if your courage is real, or only words. The ground shook violently. Daniel staggered, grabbing the shifting wall for balance. The light grew blinding, swallowing the chamber. And then, darkness. Daniel opened his eyes, but the chamber was gone. He stood in the middle of a vast battlefield, the air thick with smoke and the ground littered with broken machines. Above him, the sky burned with fire. The alien's voice whispered one last time, "Welcome to the war." The battlefield stretched far in every direction. Smoke rose from burning machines. The ground was broken, cracked, and soaked in ash. Above, the sky burned with a red glow, filled with dark clouds that twisted like claws. Daniel staggered forward, his boots sinking into the dirt. He turned in a circle, searching for anything human, anything familiar, but there was only silence, and then the voice returned. "This is war, human. This is what waits for your kind. Look well." From the smoke ahead, shadows began to move. Daniel narrowed his eyes. The figures were tall, sharp, monstrous. Their bodies were made of black armor-like scales, their arms ending in long blades. Their mouths opened wide, rows of teeth glowing in the red firelight. They were not like the alien who tested him before. These creatures were different. Hunters, predators, pure destruction. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Marching forward. Daniel's stomach dropped. He whispered to himself, "How can anyone fight this?" The alien's voice cut through his thoughts, sharper than ever. "This is your enemy. This is what will come for your world. And this is the choice you face." Daniel clenched his fists. What choice? The ground shook. Behind him, a vision appeared. A small group of humans, soldiers, wounded and tired, dragging themselves across the battlefield. A young boy clung to one of them, crying. They looked at Daniel with desperate eyes. "You can lead them," the alien whispered. "You can fight to protect them, though you will almost certainly die. Or..." The battlefield split open. To his right, Daniel saw another path, A ship stood waiting, its doors open, glowing with safety. The ship could take him away out of this nightmare. You can survive. Leave them. Save yourself. Live to fight another day. Daniel's throat tightened. His chest rose and fell in heavy breaths. The soldiers stared at him, waiting. Broken but alive. The predators marched closer, their claws glinting in the firelight. The alien's voice pressed into his skull. Choose, human. Lead and fall. Or leave and live. Daniel shut his eyes for a moment, his body trembling. He wanted to live. Every part of him screamed to take the ship, to escape, to survive. But then he thought of Earth. He thought of his sister's face, of his people still looking to the stars, still hoping. He opened his eyes. I'll fight. The alien's form flickered into existence before him, towering, massive, more terrible than before. Its body stretched like shadow and light mixed together, half beautiful, half monstrous. Its face changed from moment to moment, sometimes a face of fire, sometimes a beast with no eyes, sometimes nothing but light. Daniel's breath caught. His whole body wanted to run, but he forced his feet to stand firm. He looked up at the alien. I'll fight, he said again, because that's what it means to be human. We fight for each other. The alien's swirling eyes glowed brighter, blazing gold. Very well. The soldiers behind him suddenly came alive. Weapons appeared in their hands, broken machines sparked back to life. Daniel felt something heavy appear in his grip, a weapon, long and strong, glowing faintly like it was alive. The predators screamed. Their sound was like knives scraping metal. They charged forward, claws raised, mouths wide. Daniel raised his weapon. His heart thundered in his chest. He looked back at the soldiers, their eyes wide with fear. Stand with me, he shouted. His voice shook the air. We fight or we die. The soldiers cried out, their voices filled with courage. Together they raised their weapons, and when the predators reached them, the battlefield exploded in chaos. Daniel swung his weapon, the force sending one creature crashing into the dirt. Another leapt at him, claws slashing. He rolled, pain shooting through his side, but he stood again. A soldier fell beside him, screaming, but another pulled the boy to safety. The alien's voice whispered above the chaos. Why do you fight, human? You will die here. They are too many, you cannot win. Daniel gritted his teeth, swinging again, striking down another beast. Maybe not. But if I fall standing. That's what makes us human. We don't stop. We don't run. The predators closed in, faster, stronger, endless. Daniel's muscles burned, his lungs screamed, but still he fought. Every strike felt like it carried not just his life, but the lives of all humans who might one day face this enemy. At last, the battlefield shook with a blinding flash. The predators froze, their bodies dissolving into smoke. The soldiers vanished. The fire died. The ground fell silent. Daniel stumbled, gasping, his weapon gone. He stood once more in the glowing chamber. The alien towered above him, silent. Its eyes glowed brighter than ever, colors shifting wildly. Finally, the voice spoke, low and heavy. You fight without hope. You fight knowing death is certain, and still you do not run. I do not understand you. Daniel wiped the sweat from his face, his body trembling. That's humanity. We fight because we must. Because we can't look away even when we're afraid. The alien's form rippled, twisting into something darker, larger. Then your courage will decide the fate of your kind. The test is not finished. The chamber pulsed, walls cracking with blinding light. Daniel raised his arms to shield his eyes, and then the light swallowed him whole. The light faded. Daniel opened his eyes, gasping for breath. His body ached as if every muscle had been torn and rebuilt. He staggered forward and blinked. The chamber was gone. Now he stood in a vast wasteland of fire and steel. Broken ships lay scattered across the ground. Towers of smoke rose high into the dark sky, where giant warships hovered like vultures. The air smelled of ash and blood. And then he heard them, marching feet, the predators. Rows upon rows of them moved in the distance, black and sharp, their glowing eyes burning like embers. Their claws gleamed in the firelight. They did not move as individuals, but as one, like a swarm of hunger and death. Daniel's chest tightened. His throat went dry. He wanted to breathe, to steady himself, but the sight crushed his lungs. The alien's voice echoed inside his mind. "This is your final test, human. Not a vision of one choice, not a shadow of one sacrifice. This is war, endless, relentless. Can you endure it, or will you break like the others before you?" Daniel clenched his fists. His voice was hoarse but steady. "I'll endure. I'll fight." A sudden flash of light burst beside him. Soldiers appeared, dozens of them, men and women, armed but terrified. Some clutched rifles, some carried broken shields, others simply stood frozen with fear. They looked at Daniel. Somehow they knew he was their leader. He felt the weight of their eyes. They weren't just shadows this time. They were alive in this test, breathing, trembling, waiting for him. Daniel raised his weapon, a heavy blade of light that hummed in his grip. He looked at the soldiers, his voice breaking through the smoke. "Listen to me. We may fall, but we won't fall running. We fight together. We hold the line. We show them what it means to be human." The soldiers shouted back, their voices rising, fear turning into courage. And then, the swarm charged. The ground shook with their steps. The air filled with their screams, sharp and metallic. The first wave hit like a storm. Daniel swung his blade, the weapon glowing as it cut through claws and armor. Sparks flew, creatures fell, but more replaced them. Always more. Daniel fought with every ounce of strength. His arms burned, his lungs screamed, but he did not stop. Beside him, soldiers fought too. Some fell, others rose to protect the wounded. Every strike was desperate, every breath stolen. The alien's voice whispered coldly above the chaos. "You cannot win. You cannot survive. Why do you keep fighting? When there is no hope?" Daniel roared, slashing down another beast. "Because hope is not given. Hope is made. Every time we fight, we make it real." The predators pressed harder. A soldier beside him screamed, dragged down by claws. Daniel reached out, but it was too late. Blood stained the ground. Rage filled his chest. "Hold the line," he shouted again, his voice raw. Hours or minutes or seconds passed in a blur. Time no longer mattered. Only the fight did. Daniel's vision blurred. His body felt heavy. But still he moved. Still he swung. Still he stood. Then the second wave came. Larger creatures stepped forward, towering above the swarm. Their bodies glowed with fire. Their claws burned like molten metal. Daniel's heart sank. The alien's voice was sharper now, almost curious. "Now, human? Now you break. Show me your limit." Daniel gritted his teeth. His knees shook. His arms barely lifted the blade. But when the creatures charged, he forced himself forward. He roared and swung, striking the first giant beast across its chest. The blade cracked, sparks flying, but the creature fell with a deafening scream. Daniel collapsed to one knee, panting, sweat and blood dripping down his face. His vision darkened. Around him, soldiers still fought, but their cries grew weaker. The swarm closed in. Daniel lifted his blade one last time, his voice hoarse but unbroken. "If I fall standing. Humanity will never kneel." The predators leapt. And then, silence. The battlefield froze. The creatures stopped mid-air, their claws inches from Daniel's throat. The fire stopped burning. The smoke stopped rising. Everything was still. Daniel looked up, confused, trembling. The alien's voice returned, softer this time. "You fight even when you know you will die. You carry others even when it breaks you. You refuse to kneel even when hope is gone. Why, human, why do you keep looking into the dark, when the dark only gives you death?" Daniel's voice shook, but he spoke with all his strength. "Because even in the dark, we believe there's light. If not for us, then for those who come after. That's what it means to be human." Silence filled the air. The predators dissolved into smoke. The battlefield faded away. Daniel collapsed, landing on the glowing floor of the chamber once more. He was broken, weak, half-conscious but alive. Above him, the alien towered. Its eyes glowed brighter than ever, colors swirling in endless motion. It spoke almost like a whisper of awe. "Perhaps I begin to understand." The chamber pulsed. Daniel closed his eyes, his breath ragged. The test was over. But the decision of his fate, the fate of all humans, had not yet been made. Daniel lay on the glowing floor of the alien chamber, his chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. His body shook from exhaustion. Every muscle ached, every bone screamed, but still, he was alive. Above him, the alien's form towered like a living shadow of light and smoke. Its shape shifted endlessly, beast, storm, flame, then nothing at all. But its eyes remained, burning and swirling with colors Daniel could not name. For a long time, silence ruled. Finally, the voice spoke, deep and heavy in his mind. The tests are finished. You have fought. You have endured. You have sacrificed. And still, I do not know why. Daniel forced himself to sit, his arms trembling. He looked up at the glowing eyes. His voice was rough but steady. Because I'm human. That's the answer. The alien tilted its head as if studying him closer. Human. A word you repeat but not one I understand. What is human? Why do you keep looking into the void when all it gives you is pain? Why do you fight without hope? Why do you keep staring? At me? Daniel swallowed hard. He felt the weight of all his people on his shoulders. He thought of Earth, the wars, the mistakes, the endless struggle. He thought of his sister's face, the laughter of children, the sound of rain on rooftops, the stars that had called to him since he was a boy. He met the alien's gaze and spoke slowly. Being human means we don't stop. We fall, we bleed, we fight each other, we hurt our own world. But still we rise again. We look at the stars because we believe something better is out there. We look at monsters like you and we don't look away, because we believe even in fear there is something worth learning. We keep looking because hope is stronger than fear. The chamber pulsed with light. The alien's form rippled violently, as if shaken by Daniel's words. Its voice was sharper now, almost like thunder. Hope. A fragile word. I have seen species burn their worlds. I have seen civilizations vanish in silence. Hope did not save them. Daniel clenched his fists, his voice rising. Maybe not. But hope makes us try, and trying makes us human. That's the difference. Even if the end is certain, even if the dark wins, we don't give up. We don't kneel. We keep looking. Silence again. The alien's eyes swirled faster, colors flashing like storms. Daniel stood now, his legs shaking but unbroken. He faced the towering being without fear. At last the alien spoke, but its voice was different. Softer, almost uncertain. I have seen countless lives. I have ended countless lives. None have spoken as you do. None have fought as you have. You confuse me, human. You disturb me. Daniel gave a faint, tired smile. Good. That means you're starting to understand. The alien leaned closer. Its massive form filled Daniel's vision. For the first time, Daniel did not see a monster. He saw a question, waiting for an answer. Perhaps humanity is worth saving. For now, the chamber shook with a low hum. Light spilled across the floor, brighter and brighter until Daniel had to shield his eyes. His body felt weightless, as if the air itself carried him. When the light faded, he was no longer in the chamber. He was back inside his ship. The stars stretched out before him, endless and cold. His controls flickered alive. Oxygen levels restored, engines humming. Everything was as it had been before the encounter. Almost everything. Daniel looked out the window. For a moment he thought he saw something in the distance, a ripple in the starlight, a shimmer like a shadow made of light. The alien still watching, and then the voice whispered one last time, soft in his mind. Keep looking, human. Keep fighting. We will watch. We will see if your kind is worthy. When the darkness comes, the presence faded. Silence returned. Daniel leaned back in his chair, his chest still heavy with breath. He stared at the stars. For the first time, he did not feel alone in the void. He knew something was out there, something greater, something watching, something judging. But he also knew one truth. Whatever waited in the dark, whatever predator came for Earth, humanity would face it. Not with fear, not with surrender, but with eyes open, with courage burning, with hope alive. Daniel whispered into the silence, his voice steady. We'll be ready. The stars shone brighter, as if answering him. And somewhere far beyond human eyes, an alien form watched still, curious, uncertain, perhaps even respectful. The test was over, but the story of humanity had only just begun.